What is up, my mates? Today we are, of course, reviewing A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms, as you see. Yes. The tales of Duncan Eggs, or Duncan the Tall and Aegon Targaryen. Spoiler. So I was excited about this show because it was, a new Game of Thrones show, obviously. I'm still hyped despite how the main series ended. And despite the lackluster Season 2 of House of the Dragon, but House of the Dragon Season 1 was peak. Season 2 was a little disappointing. I feel like there was a lot of nothingness happening, but some good moments. But it didn't terribly, hinder me in my love for this world. So when I heard of this, I was like, oh, that's cool. It's set, almost a century before the main line of Game of Thrones, and it's about knights, and I like knights, and the world that George R. R. Martin created with knighthood is very realistic to our actual historical knightliness. But yeah, let's get into it. I was a little disappointed at first because it was so short, but I think that was what made it actually great. Each episode's 30 to 40 minutes. There's only 6 episodes, but the entirety of Season 1 takes place in one arc, which is the tournament. That tournament's all about, Duncan trying to find his place as a knight, and the whole time you're sort of curious if he's a knight or not. They leave that up to your interpretation, but ultimately, by the end of it, he has shown that he is truly chivalrous and holds the codes of true knighthood, and he's more of a knight than anyone, really, which is what's beautiful about the story. The acting was top tier. I was super impressed by everybody. I think the casting was just perfect, especially for Sir Duncan. He's this lovable oaf who has this sort of peasant wisdom about him, but he tries his best to speak like a knight, and he speaks like a knight more than everybody else that's more highborn, and I think that's cool. Like, just the entire language of the show is very good. I love how it was written. Other actors that were good were, of course, the Targaryen brothers, Baelor and Maekar. Everybody had just such good voices, and I just wanted to hear them speak, especially Lionel Baratheon. I thought he was casted perfect. He's sort of like a mix of Robert, Tyrion, and Oberyn. Like, if they just fused, and that's Lionel Baratheon. He's the sort of comedic, witty sort of character that has a sharp tongue but also fights really good. I also was really impressed by the child actor who played Aeg. I'm never really that impressed with child actors because it's like, they did fine, not much roles expect a lot out of children, I feel like, these days in film. But he was really good. Like, he acted like an adult, but as a kid, if that makes sense. He has the awareness and the command as an adult is what I'm trying to say, and he nailed his part. He's just sweet little kid who's the lowest born and the second line to succession. So he's this kind of, he wants to see life. He doesn't care for, his brother particularly because he's an evil bastard. But, he wants to have a more normal life, not that of a prince. And, he wants to help Duncan as his squire while hiding his identity. And then we sort of go through that with the whole show. And it was just nailed to perfection. And what I thought was also wholesome is the actor of Aeg. He made little Lego minifigures for the showrunners and for George R. R. Martin himself, which is also why the show was excellent. Was George R. R. Martin was a big part of it, and I think that's important to telling a good story based off of someone else's work, is to have that person have a lot to say in what goes on and to be a guide and they're walking encyclopedia of the world that you are adapting from their world. So it's important to have George, and I think it's really cool how happy George is with it, and the fact that he's still around despite his gripes with other projects like House of the Dragon Season 2 and some of the later Game of Thrones seasons that he wasn't as a part of. So I think it's cool that he's still trying to fight for his world and seeing it done with justice, and how he would have likely told it if he was in the seat of directorship. But I also have to go to just everything about it, like the whole setting, the whole costume design, very real. It felt just like I was there the whole time, like with them. I love the armors. You know, Arian's helmet was a little silly, but I think the rest of the armors were cool. Particularly the sword fights, the ones that we got to see were impressive, very realistic, well done to the stunt team. I do love good sword fighting and practical stunts, which is why I love Lord of the Rings so much, because they had some of the best, if not the best ever, with sword fighting and choreography. So it's nice to see how gritty and realistic they were able to capture medieval combat. Something I feel like gets not as seen in Game of Thrones, because, you know, the battles are so big. But whereas with this show, the scale is the tournament and the battles that happen in the tournament, and you can see the nitty-grittiness of knightly broadsword fighting, even maces, and which is really cool. I'd like a good mace, you know, does some damage, as I don't want to spoil it, but as you might have seen in the last episode. And just the story, the humbleness of this knight is just, it's a gripping story in the grand scale of Westeros. You know, it's such a simple storyline, but it has such great effect on the entire world, because watching clips that have surfaced linking the show to the mainline Game of Thrones is really cool. How many little references, like, you know, when Joffrey is reading the books of Knights of the Kingsguard, and he's like, oh, Sir Duncan the Tall, there's 4 pages on Sir Duncan. Just little things like that. It's also cool because we get to see Aemon in Game of Thrones, which is Aegon's little brother. He's referenced a little bit how he's training to be a maester. It's so many cool little connections, and just how we get to see different sides of the houses that we came to love or hate in the mainline Game of Thrones, and even in House of the Dragon, with the bit we've seen of familiar houses. It's really cool. It's just this world that George has built with these houses and how each house acts. It's cool to see it in a different way, and from the perspective of somebody totally normal, not somebody in the middle of the political intrigue. And I think that's what makes this show awesome. It's like a little slice of life in Game of Thrones world. It's so cool. It's so well done. I loved every minute of it. I don't think there was any time where I'm like, oh, this bit sucks. Like, it kept me engaged. It kept me enjoying and wanting more, and really getting a new appreciation for Westeros and the world that George has created, even more than I had before. So obviously, putting on the main right, I'm going to give it a 10. I think it's really good. Amazing show, amazing story with a good message. And I think it's going to be a very successful show if they're able to continue to do what they did this season. I'm looking forward to it. And I think another highlight of it is just seeing a lot of the behind the scenes and just how the actors talk about the show. It's reminiscent of Lord of the Rings, I'd say. You know, their love for what they just did. You know, there's a lot of good camaraderie on the set, you can tell, and the actors for Dunk and Egg, they get on well, and I think that helps sell this show as a truly great entertainment piece. So thank you for watching, my mates. Like and subscribe for more, and I shall see you next time.